Hi everyone, it's Rachel, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make 5 simple polymer clay charm designs which are perfect for beginners or just people starting out using clay. I do also have 2 other videos I've previously made in this little series, so if you would like to check both of those out, I'll leave the link down below in the description box. When you are a beginner at polymer clay, I also realize that you may not have the fancy polymer clay tools, and that's okay because most tools I'm going to be using in this video can be substituted for things that you can find around the house, such as toothpicks, bobby pins, safety clips, or paper clips. Also, any color of clay that I use in this video can of course be changed around to a color that you have available to you. So to start off, I'm going to be showing you how to make this plant in a pot charm. I'm beginning by taking some brown clay, which I'm going to be using for the pot, but of course you can use any color of clay that you like. I'm placing a ball of this color onto my work surface, and then I'm pushing my fingers on the sides to try and make the top of the pot wider than the bottom. You'll also notice that I'm pressing on the top and the bottom of the pot, and this is to help straighten them up and flatten them down a little bit as well. So this is what the shape of mine looks like. Now I'm taking this tan coloured clay for the dirt and I'm pressing it onto my work surface to make it into a circle. I carefully lifted the clay off my work surface using my blade, and then I'm just placing this onto the top of the pot. Next up, we need to make the rim, so using some more of my brown clay, I'm just rolling this into a coil before using my rolling pin to flatten it down. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can use any other objects in your house that are a cylinder and have a smooth surface, like a pen or a paintbrush handle, for example. I then used my long blade to cut the excess off the edges, and then it's time to wrap the rim around the pot. You'll notice here that I have flipped my pot upside down, and that way it helps to keep the rim nice and straight because it's resting on my work surface. You can then use one of your tools to blend the join together. Next, we can go ahead and texture the clay we used for the dirt to make it look a little bit more realistic. So here I'm using a needle tool and I'm just gently swirling it into the clay to give it a rough kind of fluffy look. Now for the actual plant, I'm taking this light green colour and I'm separating it into 2 balls of clay for each leaf. So to create the leaf shape, what you want to do is flatten down your ball of clay and then pinch each end between your fingers to create a point. Then you can use a needle tool or something similar to create an indent straight down the center. You want to repeat this process so that you end up with 2 leaves, and then you can go ahead and place them together at the base so that it looks like a little sprout. I then took my pot and I created an indent in the dirt where I will be adding in my plant, and this just helps to keep it nice and secure inside. I also went back and retextured some of the dirt as well. Lastly, if you would like to make it into a charm, you can take an eye pin. These can be bought in craft stores, or you can also make your own just with some wire. I went ahead and pushed this into the clay, and then it was time to bake the charm in my oven according to my package's instructions. After my clay had been baked and it has cooled down, I then took some super glue, which I'm going to be using to secure the eye pin. You can see that I firstly removed the eye pin out of the charm, I put some super glue on the end, and then I popped it back in. So here is what my finished plant charm looks like. I think it's super simple but really cute. You can of course also glaze your charm if you would like to, but this step is completely optional. So next up, I'm going to be showing you how to make this popsicle charm. So to begin, take the main colour that you would like your popsicle to be. I'm going to be using this purple colour. Start off by rolling it into a little log on your work surface, and then you can pat this down and perfect the shape so that it looks a little bit more like a popsicle. You'll notice that I'm pushing in the sides using my blade just to try to make them nice and straight, but I'm also keeping the top part of the design rounded. To add the wooden popsicle stick, I am firstly creating an indent in the bottom of my popsicle using my dotting tool, and then I took some tan coloured clay which I rolled and flattened down onto my work surface. I'm then using my needle tool to try and give it some more texture, and don't forget to also flip it over and do the back as well. I then trimmed off the amount that I needed and I placed this into the indent that I had previously made. Next up, we're going to be making the little bite mark in the top of our popsicle charm to give it a little bit more character and some extra detail. To do this, you could either use the end of a straw, or if you have a small cookie cutter with some rounded parts on the design, you could use that as well. I actually ended up using the straw, which I pushed into the clay twice to create the shape of the bite mark. Then, just to perfect it a little bit more and neaten it up, I used the side of one of my tools. Then, to make it look like there is some ice cream inside, I'm using this piece of white clay and I'm just laying it over top of the bite mark and then rolling my tool over the clay to flatten it down. Next, I used my needle tool to create 2 light indents in the popsicle, and then it's time to start making the sprinkles to go on top. So you can collect the colours that you would like to use on your popsicle. Here you can see that I have some pastel rainbow colours and I'm just rolling each ball of clay out into a thin coil. Then to make the sprinkles, I'm using my blade and I'm just trimming off small parts, trying to make them all a similar size. You can then go ahead and position these onto the charm. Lastly, you can add an eye pin into the clay if you'd like to make it into a charm, and then you can go ahead and bake this in your oven according to your package's instructions. After baking, I took my super glue and I'm using this to secure the eye pin into the clay, and then the charm is completely finished. So here is what my finished popsicle looks like. I really love how the pastel colours look together, and overall this charm just looks very summery. So the next simple charm I'm going to be showing you how to make is this red apple. Now, of course, for this one, I'm beginning with some red polymer clay, but if you would like to make an apple of a different color, you would just need to take that color instead. We first want to begin by creating the shape of the apple. So here I'm just very gently pinching at one side of the clay to make the base of the apple more narrow than the top. Then to shape the top part of the apple, I'm using this large ball tool which I'm pressing into the clay, but if you don't have one of these tools, you can also use your knuckle and this works really well too. You can then also smooth out this part a little bit if you would like to neaten up your design. Next, we're going to be making the stalk. So I took a ball of brown clay and I'm rolling it on my work surface into a teardrop shape. I then press down the top with my blade to make it flat, and then I'm also trimming off the bottom, and this will leave us with a flat surface where we can easily attach it onto the apple. Finally, we need to go ahead and create the leaf. So I've got a small ball of green clay, which I firstly flattened down, and then I'm pinching both ends to create a point, and I'm just continuing to neaten the shape up until I'm happy with it. I gently pressed my needle tool down the center of the clay, and then I attached this onto the apple right beside the stalk. You can then go ahead and add an eye pin if you would like to make the design into a charm, and then you want to bake this in your oven according to your package's instructions. After baking, I'm taking my super glue and I'm using this to secure the eye pin in so that it won't fall out, and then optionally you can also glaze your charm if you would like. So this is what my finished apple charm ended up looking like. Next up, I'm going to be showing you how to make this very cute little whale charm. So you want to begin with the base color of your whale. For mine, I'm using a pastel blue. I started off with my clay rolled into a ball, and then I'm just using my fingers to pinch one part of the clay and kind of pull it away from the main section. And this is where I'm going to be attaching the tail onto. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're really gentle with the clay and just holding it very lightly so that you don't accidentally misshapen the body of the whale. But if you do, you can always go back and fix it up if you need to. So to create the tail, I took 2 pieces of the light blue clay and I'm just rolling these into little balls. Then to shape them, it's a very similar process to when I make the leaves. So start off with a ball of clay and flatten it down, and then I just like to pinch one side and I kind of make the point a little bit curved and I curve this upwards. And then you'll want to place them together almost so it looks like you have a little mustache. You'll then want to attach this little mustache onto the body, and then you can blend all the parts together to make sure that they are nice and secure. For the whale's belly, I'm going to be using some white polymer clay, and I'm rolling this on my work surface into a teardrop shape before pressing it down. I then positioned this onto the base of the whale and attached it on. Next, it's time to add the eyes. I trimmed 2 pieces of black clay from a coil and I rolled these into balls before then positioning them onto the whale. Then the last thing we need to do is create the fins on the side. I took some more of my base color, which is the pastel blue, and I flattened a piece down into an oval on my work surface. You'll then want to cut this in half so that you have 2 even sized pieces, and then attach these onto both sides of the body. Finally, you can pop in an eye pin if you would like to turn this design into a charm, and then it's time to bake your clay in your oven according to your package's instructions. After baking, I removed the eye pin and I added some super glue to help keep it nice and secure and prevent it from falling out. And there you have it. This is what my finished whale charm ended up looking like. So the final charm design I'm going to be showing you how to make today is this rainbow. When I first began making clay charms, I always found it so difficult to create rainbows for some reason, but they're literally the easiest design to make. So you want to prepare the shades of clay you are planning to use. As you can see, I've kind of gone for a bright pastel design of pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. So you want to take a ball of clay and roll it into a coil on your work surface, and you can make these coils as thin or as thick as you like. You then need to repeat this process for each of the colours that you're planning to use. Next, it's time to shape the coils into our rainbow. So I'm starting off with the inside colour, so for me that is purple, and I'm just curving my coil and kind of letting it sit on my work surface. I then built my other colours around this purple coil and I pat the clay to attach each piece together. Here you can see that I'm using my long blade to fix up the sides a little and make them a bit neater, before then trimming off the excess at the bottom. And then that's pretty much the rainbow all done. You can then of course add an eye pin if you would like to make it into a charm. Before I actually added my eye pin, I created a hole using my needle tool just so that it wouldn't ruin my design, and it made it a lot easier for me to push the eye pin straight into the clay. You then want to bake this in your oven according to your package's instructions, and after my rainbow had been baked and completely cooled down, I then took my super glue to secure the eye pin so that it wouldn't fall out. And there you have it, that is what my finished rainbow design looks like. So that is how to make 5 simple charm designs using polymer clay. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel for lots more crafty videos, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!